Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Kuf Tes Zayin Amid Beis. Kuf Tes Zayin Amid Beis. A bunch of Mishnayos and some very interesting halachas. Again, Perek was discussing a woman who claims her husband died. We're going to believe the woman because Mishum Iguna, Yichil Barabana, Nishudaika Mitzvah, Afal Pish Ein Davasher Bachs Mishnayim. Tremendous coolness we have by women to allow them to go ahead and remarry. We spoke about that's only if it's not Shas B'chama, but Shas B'chama, maybe perhaps they would not be believed because they're not going to say for sure. They might say, and if there's a fight between them that they say they were divorced, and Adam claimed that they weren't divorced, and so those were two factors. Anyway, says the Mishnah, when we say the woman is believed to go ahead and get married, not only is she believed to get married, she collects the kasuba. She's believed to say her husband's dead, and she collects the kasuba. Beisil says no. Tinase, they gave her the koyach to remarry, but she does not go ahead and in other words, really, she shouldn't be believed. It's the chachamim who gave her the amanis. Again, the deraisa tigadin is ein davashebe erva pachas mishnayim. The chachamim believed her mishum iguna, but to the extent says Beisil to believe for linyan dine mamanis, where we say al pishnayim edem yakum davar, then we're not going to go ahead and believe her. That's the sheet of Beis Hillel. Amalem Beis Shammai says Beis Shammai hitartem erva chamura v'leinatir momen hakal. If the chachamim gave her what the ability to go ahead and be matter the fact that she's an eshes ish, which is much more chama, to go ahead and matter that, which is a nissa of chenek, right? I think chenek. I always get mixed up. Issa Mrs. Besdin. Momen hakal to believe to collect the money like kol shekain. So I'm going to be Silo. Now I'll show you. Matzinu sheina achim nichnasim l'nachla al pia. The brothers do not go ahead based upon a testimony. They don't consider him dead to start going ahead and collecting his estate. The brothers who would normally collect his estate, let's say there's no the hierarchy of collecting based upon a testimony that their brother died. They wouldn't collect based upon her testimony. So what do you see? You see a chilik between the brothers and her, Linyan Mamanis and Linyan Isser. Linyan Isser were letting him get married, but Linyan the brothers to collect the mama not. So who didn't? Linyan herself says Beis Hillel, we won't let her collect the money. So therefore we see like Palgin and Dibur, where we're poiling the din from the Isser din from the Dinei Mamanis the din. And for the Gemara now, I'm only Beis Shammai 1 second. Mispak Suba Nilmad from the Lush of the Seifa, or the Seifa Ksuba Nilmad, she who cost. What does it say in the Seifa of the Ksuba? Tinase la'acher, if she marries someone else, titli mashakasav lachi, that right, that whatever is written in it should go to you. So in other words, that is the lashon of the ksuba. So automatically, if she goes to another man, then what? Lachi, the money goes to you. Another case where what? We had a previous case where Beis Hillel was Chayzli as Beis Shammai. Who didn't over here? We have what? Previously, we said that she's only believed based upon the Maisa in a certain Medina, and it's only bitten by a snake, by Ksirchitim, and we said no. It's if once you believe across the board. And Beis Hillel was Chazal used Beis Shammai. Another instance where Beis Hillel is Chazal to Beis Shammai that if she goes ahead and marries someone else based upon her own testimony, she would collect her ksuba. Amrav Chista Nisyabma Yevamot nichnis l'nachla al pia. If let's say there was no children, she died, and now based upon a testimony, she's marrying her brother, and you told me, his brother, the dead husband's brother, and you told me that the brothers do not collect based upon a testimony. However, the one who marries her will be nichnis tachas the dead brother to collect the nachla. Even though what the other brothers would not collect, the one that's miyabim her, in fact, would collect what? Why? Heim darshan midras ksuba. You darshan the midras ksuba that she collects a ksuba. A non loy nidrash midrash Torah. We should go ahead and darshan the Torah. You went ahead and derived from the lashon of the ksuba that she collects. That if she marries another man, she gets to collect the ksuba. So if that's the case, once you darshan the lashon of the ksuba, soon I'm going to darshan the lashon of the Torah, where it says Yakum al Shem Achiv. And we said, what does it mean, Yakum Hashem Achiv? It's not the pasuk should be taken literally to call the child after the guy's name. What does it mean? That he takes his place, Le'inyan Nachla. So I'm Rachmana. Varikam, he took his place. So Einachinami, even though the other brothers wouldn't collect based upon a testimony, the one she marries, the Yavam, would in fact collect the brother's property. Amrav Nachman, Boas LeBezdin, she comes to Bezdin, V'Amar, she says the following, Meis Baili, My husband's dead, matami to get married. Clearly, again, what is she saying? My husband's dead, permit me to remarry. We permit her to get married. After all, you see clearly that she's not interested in the ksuba. What's she interested? She's interested in a marriage. What about this? She comes along and she says, my husband's dead. Give me my money. My husband's dead. Let me collect the insurance policy, right? My husband's dead. Let me collect the ksuba. Even to remarry, we won't let her. Why? My timer. She's coming up for the purpose of ksuba. In other words, if the whole purpose of a marriage, you see that's what's on our mind, we won't believe her. Not to the extent that she wants to get rich. So therefore, we don't believe her. So now, if she just said Tiruni to marry, we would believe her. If she says, my husband died, let me collect the ksuba, we're not believing her. What happens if you mix the two lashonos? Say both. She says, first, let me permit you to get married, and let me collect my ksuba. Mahu. Since she happened to mention the ksuba, Hadassah is on the ksuba, and we won't believe her. Anything that a person gets, she's mentioning. One, that she's permitted to get married, which she mentioned first, and second, that she collected ksuba. So I'm a little beidina. If you're going to tell me she's mentioning anything, in other words, we're going to permit her to get married. She just has to mention all the ramifications of her husband being dead. One, that she's permitted to be married, and two, she can collect the ksuba. If we're going to say that, then what happens if she says the following? Tenuli ksubasi ve'tiruni nase. He's switched the order. Give me my ksuba and matami to get married. Since she mentioned that first. Maybe she doesn't know exactly what's the mataha. But maybe she just thinks maybe collecting the ksuba matzah, she doesn't know. So the Gemara answers teku. So when she uses the double lashon, the Gemara unequivocally says the only time she's not going to be believed is when she comes along and says, "Let me collect my ksuba." If she mixes or matches, the Gemara remains a shaila. If she says hetiruni nase, then she'd be able to remarry. Okay, next Mishnah, very famous Mishnah, and I think it's important we do the following. Everyone is permitted. Isha. We said an Eid Echad is permitted, even another Isha would be permitted. There are 5 women who are not permitted, guys. There are 5 women who are not permitted, and here they are. You can see this? You can see this?
Yep.
Okay, good. This is a very, very cute chart. It does everything. Here's the 5 women. 1, her mother-in-law. Okay, this is the woman. The mother-in-law is not permitted to say that what? The mother-in-law is not permitted to say that the husband died. The mother-in-law hates her. You know why the mother-in-law hates her? Because the mother-in-law hates her because her husband is going to go ahead. If he dies, she's going to get all the hard workings. In other words, if her husband dies, and his son collects, she's going to get all the money that she brought in. She's going to get. So there's natural hatred between a mother and a daughter-in-law based upon dinei mamonis. Again, it's a one-way hatred, the mother-in-law to him, and it's based upon the fact that she's going to collect the hard workings of the mother that the father got. It's going to go to her through the son. That's the hatred of the mother-in-law to her. The second person is the daughter of her mother-in-law, or her husband's sister, right? This is the husband's sister, right? These are 2 people have this one. Anyway, Bas Chamos, the husband's sister. Why? Because again, he's going to collect before her. If the father dies, he's going to collect before her. Again, Dinei Mamanis, she's not believed. In other words, they are believed to say that the husband died in order to be Mekalkal her, to mess her up, because they hate her. And the hatred is Machmas Dinei what? Dinei Mamanis. A third person is Hatzara. Hatzara would not be believed to say that because the Tzara hates her. Not because of Dinei Mamanis, it's a personal hatred, because she takes away from the time that she could be with her husband. The husband's splitting up himself physically. So therefore, she hates her, not because of Dinei Mamanis, like number 1 and number 2, but number 3 simply is a din of hatred. That she hates her because of the time she goes ahead and takes away from her. Number 4, is the Yevimta. The Yevimta is a potential tzara. She also hates her. The Yevamot knows that the Yevamot knows that if he dies, she's going to end up with him. If he dies, she's going to end up with him. So therefore, it's a potential tzara. Again, a personal hatred rather than a dinei mamonistic hatred. And finally is a step. This is a stepdaughter. Now he has a child with this one. This child hates her because again she hates her because of what Basbaila, because she takes the place of the mother. She's taking her mother's place, right? Look, this is her mother, and she's going ahead and eating up what her mother worked for over here. So therefore, he gets it, she gets it, so she hates her. So those are the 5 people who are not believed. Okay, these are the 5 people not believed. We'll get back to the screen soon. Says the Mishnah. Anyone's permitted belief for Eidus Isha, right? Everyone's belief for Eidus Isha, with the exception of what, right? Chutz mechamaisa, her mother-in-law, ubas chamaisa, her sister-in-law, basically the daughter of her mother, her husband's wife, brother, a sister. Vitzarasa, hatzara, the Yevimta, potentially Yevimta, because again, if her husband dies, she's going to fall to her husband. Ubas baila, and a step daughter. Ma ben get lemisa. What's the difference by get and misa, guys? We're going to see in Masech Gittin Be'ez Hashem. Someone brings the getting from Dinas Hayam. Tzarich sheyam b'fani nichtav b'fani nechtam. You have to say in front of me, b'fani b'sign. These women would be believed. So the Gemara wants to know. The Mishnah in Daf Chav Gimel in Gittin tells us that these 5 women are believed to say b'fani nichtav b'fani nechtam. What's the difference between get and over here? L'chora, in both cases, you want to mata her to remarry. In both cases, we should be worried that they want to go ahead and mess up the girl. So why over here? Why over in Gittin they're believed, and over here they're not? Says the Gemara. Really, why over here they're not believed? Over there, yes. Says the Gemara. By get, we're not saimich on them. We're saimich on the get. There's 2 eidim signed on this get, right? So in other words, we have other things to go ahead and substantiate the mitzias. So therefore, what they are believed. Masha'inkin over here by Misa, we're the only game in town. We're going ahead and letting the woman remarry just based upon their testimony. Then we can't trust them because why? They're untrustworthy. Okay, now you're going to get I spoke this out already. So let's see. Iboilu, Bas Chamia. Now, okay, the following is a shiloh. Let's get back to the board. The daughter of the mother-in-law hates her, guys. Number 2 hates. Why? Because he's going to inherit this one, and therefore this one hates the fact that her mother's funds are going to be going to this woman, the strange woman. Okay. What about this case? This one, Bas Chamia, that she has a father-in-law. This is the daughter of the father-in-law. Okay. This is the daughter of the father-in-law. And over here, since it's not going to inherit from the mother. Again, this is the mother of this one over here. So you're not going to inherit this. What's the din over here? Do we say, since it's not taken away from over here, it's not going to be, it doesn't hate her? Or do we say that the bottom line is he will eventually get something from him, and she has shaykhs to him, and therefore what? It wouldn't be good. That's the Gemara Shaila. Okay? Bas Chamia, the daughter of her father-in-law. Time of the Bas Chamia, the reason the daughter of her mother-in-law, her mother hates her because of the funds that are going to go to him. So she also hates her. Over here, you don't have a mother that hates her. Time of the Bas Chamia, the Umrah, you're eating up what? The produce, you're eating up the working of my hands that's going to go to you when my husband dies. She's they're eating up what? The funds of what? From my father. So therefore, in other words, if it's a personal thing, there's no reason to be personal. If it's a monetary thing, there's a monetary reason. Guys, right? You hear the two stardom. Let's see it again. Let's see it again. The chart is very clear, right? It's a personal thing over here, and this side over here. There's 2 things over here. This one hates her because her mother hates her. That's a personal thing. if that's the case, then this one over here is not shaykh, because what? Because it's not the same, right? It's no hatred. Or do we say no? It's a monetary thing over here that she's going to end up getting this. So she is, and this I've gone to here, this is going to here. So the same thing over here, she's going to end up getting this. So therefore, he would hate her if it's monetary. He'd hate it also. So that's the studim of the shaila, as illustrated by this wonderful Hasidic guy who wrote the sefer. So now it says in our Tashma, Hakol ne'emonim leheida. Everyone's permitted to go ahead and testify, chutz michamesh nashim, except these 5. V'im isa, and if you're telling me that what? That the bas chamia would be included, then sheish havoyin. You have a total of what? Of 6. So therefore, l'chayra, you only have 5. It says when we're doing the time of the bas chamaisa, maybe the reason for the bas chamaisa, the omer kachon gerson nuinashia, loishna bas chamaisa, loishna bas chamia, right? So in other words, I'll give you a teretz. What's your teretz? That when it said 5, it didn't limit it to specific 5. Limited for the 5 people who would fall in the realm of the same reasoning. So if it's a din in mominus, this one and this one, number 2 and number question mark, they're the same thing. Warning, this one's going to collect this money, this one's going to collect this money, and it's going to go to her, eventually to her husband. So therefore, you got to worry. So therefore, if that's the case, the fact that we listed 5 is not a kasha, because that 5, this one included this one. Number 2 included the question mark. That would be a teretz to get out of this. We learned 7. It says the Gemara, what's the 7? Hahi Rabbi Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, let's meet Rabbi Yehuda, guys. It's the final picture on this chart. Rabbi Yehuda is going to include what? Rabbi Yehuda is going to include Eshes Av. The stepmother hates her. And the Kala hates her. Okay, the stepmother hates her and the Kala hates her. So it's a side question now. How can you list 5? In other words, the fact that you want to be pushed at the Shaila, you're not pushed at the Shaila, because this and this could be the same. We don't know. But now a second question. The Mishnah says 5. We learned 7, and for the Gemara, the 7 are Rabbi Yehuda. Who is Rabbi Yehuda including into the additional 5? 2 more. A stepmother is not believed to say the husband died, and as we'll see why. And a kala is not believed to say that they died, and a kala would not believe. And that would be, so we have 2 more. Okay, we have 2 more. Okay. So Fred Gemara, how could you say 5? L'chayr it's 7. Hahi Rabbi Yehuda Titnan Rabbi Yehuda Moisef Av Eshes Av, a stepmother, a kala and a daughter-in-law. Amuloi Eshes Av. Harihi b'chal bas habal. Eshes Av is the same as bas habal. Guys, Eshes Av, this would be the same as bas habal. This is what? Bas habal is a step, yeah. This is a stepdaughter, isn't it? This is a stepdaughter. Bas habal, right, is a stepdaughter. Yeah? So this is stepdaughter. Got it? Guys, you see the chart. This is the Nidun, married to here. So this is her real mother, that's Sarah. So this is the Bas Habal of her husband. She is mamish the stepmother, but the same level, right? Same level as stepmother. So too, the same thing over here. And Kala, Harihi B'chal Chamoisa. Kala is the same thing. Chamoisa hates her, Kala hates her. Those two for the same reason. Rabbi Yehuda, now, so the Chachamim, you know why they don't hold a 7, as we just spoke out? They hold that it's categorized. These are categories, not people. These are, so anyone who would fall into these categories would fit. Fred said, now what about Rabbi Yehuda? So Bishleim Chamaisa, Sanya Leila Kala. Bishleim, the mother-in-law hates the Kala, the Amar Kachal Gersana. She hates her. She hates her because he's eating up her money that's going to go to her from to the dead husband from him. It's a Kala my timer, Sanya Chamaisa. Why would a Kala hate the mother-in-law? So Bishleim Bas Habal, the Sanya Leishazav. Bishleim, she hates what? Her. Why? The Amra Kachal Gersana the Ain. She is eating up my mother's produce. Ela Eishazav, my timer, Sanya Lebeis Habal. So Ela Eishazav, what's the reason? Eishazav, what's the reason that she would hate? There's no reason to hate. It's not a monetary thing. So the Gemara wants to know, Elamai Moisif Tarti, then Imkain, you have to come up with a reason. According to Rabbi Yehuda's, right? Rabbi Huda says that these are not the same categories, so why does he add the other two? So he's going to find a hatred that didn't exist. What's his hatred? So why does the kala hate her mother-in-law? The megala libana called the avda. She, the mother-in-law, will go ahead and reveal to the son all the things that the kala says. In other words, we just created the traditional hatred for a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Very seldom is it based upon money. It's based upon relationships. So we have a relationship. The mother-in-law will tell the husband exactly what he's doing. Now, if that's the case, so a kala hates the mother-in-law, the kala hates the mother-in-law, because the mother-in-law will tell the Baal all the things that the kala is doing. Now, so therefore, Eishes Av Nami, the Eishes Av number over here is also hated, Lebas Habal. She's also hated to her. This is the Bas Habal, right? To the mother-in-law. The Megala Lavia called of the Rabbana, called the Avda. She's Megala to the father, everything that what Eishes Av is Megala to the father, all the things that the Kala is doing. This is the Kala. Eishes Av, this is the Kala, right over here, not this Kala, this one over here. So it's the same category. For Rabbanon, the Chachamim, they say, just like she hates her, it's two ways. They both hate each other. And therefore, they don't have to include it. It's included in the category. So Rabbi Yehuda, the din of Kemayim Panal Panim is spoken about Torah. Rashi brings, right, very nice Rashi. Let's see this Rashi inside. The feet, 4 lines down, it gets wide. The feet Panim Valev Shat and nice in the Torah, according to the face and the mind that you give to Torah, your mind will be oimed to remember your learning. And you got the bud, if you go ahead and you gear, right, then timsa, you'll find it. And what you got, if you don't like timsa. So Kamayim Panim Al Panim is speaking to the input you put in Torah. Lishnach Rina, Im Rabbi Mazbalei Panim, who machkim. If this Rebbe goes ahead, we saw this Gemara Megillah. If the Rebbe shows a fine countenance, then Kamayim Panim Al Panim, then he'll learn. If the Rebbe is not. So we have the different shittas over here, right? We have different shittas, whether it's 5 or whether it's 6. L'chayra, these are not believed. The 6 and 7 are not believed. They're included in the categories of number 2 and number 5. That's what we're simply saying. Okay. Amar Ravacha bar Avia, boy Marava, Chamoisa bola achamikan mahu. Now we said in the Mishnah, guys, that a Yevamot is not believed. What about the Yevamot's mother? That's a future mother-in-law, right? The Yevamot's mother is a potential mother-in-law. The Yevamot, she is not believed because this sister-in-law is a potential tzara. Because if her husband dies, her husband of the brother of the dead is going to be miyabin. What about the mother-in-law of those two? What about the mother-in-law of that? I didn't put that on the screen, but here it is. Okay, what's the din over there? Again, if you have the book, it's 324. If the book is right next to you, it's page 324. So it's the mother-in-law of the potential Yevamot. You got it? Just look at 324, the top picture on 324. So we know the Yevamot, picture 309. We know the Yevamot across the board, guys. We know the Yevamot across the board over here is not believed, right? The Yevamot is not believed. What about her mother? Her mother, this is potential. Do we say she'll lie? Do we say, just like Chamoisa will lie, do we say she'll lie? That's the question. Says the Gemara inside. Doesn't it enter her mind when she testifies that this woman potentially might go ahead and be the Sarah of her daughter, Visanyal, and she hates her, Eloi or not. So Tashma Amid Beis, let's be patient from the following place. Tashma, Umra Mace Bailey, a woman go overseas. A woman goes overseas with what? With a father-in-law. Umra, she says, Mace Bailey, my husband died. V'achkach Mace Chami, and afterwards my father-in-law died. So what she's doing is two things. She's mattering herself and she's mattering her mother-in-law. She's saying again, my husband died and my mother-in-law died. So if she's believed, she's mattering two women, herself and she's mattering what? Her mother-in-law. Tina say, so she can marry v'titel ksubasa, the chamaisa asura, and the chamaisa would be asa. She would be believed on her mother-in-law. My time of chamaisa asura, lab mishum damrinan, loy baila mace, loy chamia mace. Really, both her husband's alive, and the mother-in-law is alive, and the father-in-law is alive. They're really both alive. And why did she say they're both dead? She wants to go ahead what? And kill her mother-in-law. Savra, meaning kill her, not physically, but mess up her life. Ksava lebasa shaita loitese and titstaron. But after time, what? I'll be so embarrassed about I'm marrying another. She won't bother me anymore. So in other words, what do you see? You see futures. You see that you see over here that you're worried that you can go ahead and mess up about the future. Let's see Rashi. Rashi's the last line of Rashi. Ki heichi dilbasa shaita, where it gets, go down, guys, where it gets thin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. Ki heichi dilbasa shaita kishe yoshev bali ubayla, right? When she comes back, the husband comes back and the father-in-law comes back, titra lecherpois, the mother-in-law who had been married to somebody else based upon her testimony, she'll undergo cherpa, and she won't bother anymore. In other words, each one is an achamikan. Each one is you're worried about what's going to happen. So just like over here, we say that, look, while you're a daughter-in-law is not we think about the future, and therefore she's not believed on the mother-in-law. Who adin the chamaisa of the mother of the Yevamot also would be go ahead and be act in a dastardly manner. So l'chayra, she also would not be believed to say that the husband died. And for the Gemara, you have no raya. Shani hasam the rogish leitzara. The daughter-in-law already has had this relationship with the mother-in-law. Since she had this relationship with the mother-in-law, we go ahead and we can conclude that that hatred is so great, it wouldn't be beyond the daughter-in-law to go ahead and lie in order to mess up the mother-in-law because there was an existing relationship. By the mother-in-law of the Yevamah, there's no relationship between that. That relationship only can come about after the husband dies. So ad kedei kach, that a woman would act so evil and dastardly, that we're not going to say. What do you want to tzushtel? You want to tzushtel an existing mother-in-law and daughter-in-law to what? A potential mother-in-law? That you wouldn't do. An existing mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, where there's an existing hatred, the daughter-in-law would go ahead and stoop to a level to mess up the mother-in-law. Masha Ein Kain, just because it's a potential mother-in-law, because it's the mother of a Yevamah, no, that we won't say. Therefore, you're not pushed to Shiloh. Aid, next Mishnah. Aid Omer Mace, Vinisas. An aid says that what? That her husband died, and she gets married. Uba Echad, and after she had married, comes along another one, V'amar Loy Mace, he didn't die. Harizu Loy Teitze, she doesn't leave. In that case, she doesn't leave. The Chayra, you'd say it's 1 against 1, she's married already, not believe. Eid Omer Mace, one says she died, Ushnayim Omer Loy Mace, and 2 people come and say he didn't die. Afa Pishinisas, even if she married already, Teitze. This guy's the classic Mishnah that it's Ikka Chasim and a Sefer. Without the Gemara, you're not going to understand. Pashut, it's 1, 2. It's a numbers game. It's going to see it's much more than that. Shnayim Omer Mace. 2 people say you died. The Eid Omer Loy Mace, and one says you did die. Afa Pishlei Nisas Tinase. Even if she didn't marry, she can get married. Again, 2 people said it's dead. One says not. Even if she didn't marry, she can get married. Because Al Pishnai made in Yakum Dava. Taima, the first case, guys, one guy says yes, and one guy says no. Then if she married, she doesn't leave. Taima, the reason she doesn't leave, the nisas, because she already what? She already married. Haloi nisas, but if she had not married, loy tinase, mashma, she wouldn't get married. Fred the Gemara, why not? V'oma ula, kol makom she'iminu toira eid echad, harikan shnayim. Ve'ein devarav shel echad b'makom shnayim. This Bezdin l'chayra, what did they do, guys? Bezdin said, you are mutter to get married. Now, once Bezdin gave the psak, it's like two Eidim came and said, you're mutter to get married. So why would we believe the second one that comes and says lomes? Once we believe the first one to the extent to get a psak from Bezdin that you're permitted to get married, why would the second one be believed to go ahead and say not? Again, we're making a diak. What's the diak? The reason why she doesn't leave is because she got married. Mashma what? If she wouldn't have got married, then she can't. For the Gemara, why not? And the Gemara, the answer is she could get married. And for the Gemara, says the Gemara, Hachi Kamar. Here's what the Mishnah is saying. Eid echad oim meis v'hitiruha linasei. And Bezdin mated her to get married. Uba echad v'amar loy meis. And one comes and says, Shtintai, loy seitze from what? She doesn't leave the first heter. So don't make the only reason she doesn't get out is because she was married already. But if she wasn't, she can't. No. If Bezdin matter to get married, even if she didn't get married yet, she still would have a heter to get married. She still would have that heter. Why? Because kol makom sheneman eid echad harikan shnayim. It's like two people coming saying your husband's dead, and one person coming and say your husband's not dead. Now, be aware, Ula would be Maida if the Bezdin didn't give a psak. If one person came along and said dead, and another person came along and said alive, then no. Then we don't say. When will you say two? It's only when Bezdin paskin based upon that. If you get a psak Bezdin, no, then it would be batal. Okay, very good. Eid oimer mace, an eid says mace, and what? And shnayim say not. So we said Teitzei. Pshita, the ain dvar shalecha b'makom shnayim. L'chayra, if it's a numbers game, 1 against 2, and for the Gemara, leit tzricha b'psulei edis. You know what we're speaking about? We're speaking about women. We're speaking about people apostle edis. These two edim are not men. These two edis are what? Are women. So Pashat, it's speaking. The Tanya, Reb Nechemia Omer, kol makom she'emina Torah eid echad, holach achar roiv deyos. When the Torah goes ahead and permits an eid echad, you'll go after the majority. So even though you have one person saying you're dead, you're an eid echad, we'll go after the majority. Since two people are saying he's alive, you go after that. So for us, we'll treat two women, the two psulei le'edim, keneged the one person that said edus that he's dead, kishnei anoshim, like two men, ki ish echad. We'll treat it like two men against one man. And therefore what? That's why Tate say. Vibai saying another teretz, it's not speaking about what? About psulei edus. But kol heichad the asya eid echad kasha meikara, if the first aid was a man, afilu meya noshim ke'eid echad damya. So, according to the first teretz, guys, here's a man, here's two women. Tate say. Second lashon, if there's a man, even if you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 of these, it's going to be 1 connected 1. You're not going to tate say. V'iba yisema kol heicha de asa eid echad kosher, a man meikara afilu mei noshim ke'eid echad damya. Even if 100 come and say he's alive, it's like only equal to 1. Ela kegoin the asa isha meikara. You know what it's speaking about, guys? This one was not a man. It was an isha. We know an isha is believed, but is believed because of the special heter. The isha meikara with teratzli l'Reb Nechemia hachi. And Nechemia omer kol makom she'eminu Torah eid echad holach achar roiv deis v'asu shtei noshim b'isha achas kishnei anoshim b'isha echad. Guys, look, this one came as a woman. Two people came were women. You're going to go after roiv deis. We're going to treat these two women as if they're two men, and therefore it's 2 men against 1 woman. So it just changed. In the first lashon, even if this was a man, even if this is a man, we go after Rav Deis. According to the second lashon, if this is a man, forget about it. We're not going after Rav Deis. This case is speaking where it's a woman, and these two are women. And the chiddush is that we'll go after Rav Deis. And Hachi says the Gemara, "V'tratzl Reb Nechemia Hachi. Nechemia Aimer Kol Makom She'aminu Torah Eirechad Halach Achar Rav Deis. V'yasa Shtei Nashim B'Isha Achas Shtei Nashim Ki Ish Echad. Aval Shtei Nashim B'Ish Echad. If you have two women against one man, Kipalgo Palgadami, it'll be what? One against two will be like equal, and then they'll stay together." So the case of the Mishnah Teitze is speaking where it's one woman against two women. Okay, the last case of the Mishnah, Shnayim Omer Meis, and one says Loi Meis. Even if you didn't get married, you don't get married. Says the Gemara, my Kamash Malon, so that what, two against one. So says the Gemara, Psuliyedis Uchreb Nechemia, the Azal Basa Roiv Deis. So you go after Roiv Deis. In other words, two people said the husband's dead and one says not. You're going to go after the majority, and since two said he's dead, he's dead. Right? Says the Gemara, Hainu Hach, that's the first case. When do you go after Roiv Deis the Chumrah? Guys, what was the Roiv Deis the Chumrah? Guys, girls, guys, one girl, two girls, right? Good. What was the din? Teitzei. That's a Chumrah, right? Over here, two girls, one. You're going Lakula because you're allowing them to get married. So in other words, it's not the exact same case. Hainu Hach, you want to go this way, there's a big difference, right? Over here, you're going with Chumrah. Since it's two saying he's alive, goodbye. Over here, you're saying two saying he's dead and one saying it's alive. We're being makel. Says the Gemara. So I'm adotei makiyas lina basa roiv deus. That's the Chumrah. Aval kula loy kimash malon that what? Kimash malon that we will go afil lekula. Okay, B'ez Hashem. Tomorrow morning she'll be 9:30. She'll be 9:30 tomorrow morning.